It's the last week of 2016 already. Makes you wonder where all the time went. But you know what they say, how time flies when you're having fun. Every year is a good year for interviewing people. It's a humbling experience, being given the privilege to get a peep into their brilliant minds, sometimes a peep into their private lives. And you know, just to have the opportunity to learn a thing or two that you didn't know before. As an interviewer, you get nuggets of wisdom, provided you are willing to wander a little off the beaten path. But this year, you couldn't go more than a few steps without hitting something major, hearing something inspiring. And thankfully, you, our viewers, have been part of that journey. This week, we take a break from life on the road to look back at some of the show's high points from 2016. It was another year of unforgettable encounters in far-flung places. My name is Modele Sharafa Yusuf, and this is View from the Top. Thank you for joining us as we look back at some of the best interviews in the outgoing year. The year's interviews took different shapes and routes to eyeball, but what they all have in common is the forthrightness of all our interviewees, their candor. We had successful entrepreneurs share their experiences with us, and many times the secret was plain old common sense. You must have learned some street wisdom from your upbringing, from your time as an apprentice. What did you learn that you couldn't have learned in a business school?
You know, you can have intellectual conception about things, but it's a different thing when you practicalize it, okay? Being in many times, when you ask young people today that want to do business, what do they think they require to do business? All they tell you is about capital, okay? But the real secret is that if you don't have knowledge about what you are going to do, you will lose the capital to gain the knowledge. And then the business world, they say you learn in a hard way. So knowledge is everything, most important. You know, when we talk about economics, a lot of people thought that economics is something you must go to university to learn. It's common sense, opportunity cost. What you left against other, what you consider priority. The first thing I learned is the ability to manage money and save money. Now, I learned from my boss that I must be accountable. Something many people today that say they start business, but they really pay no attention to. Deep hand inside your capital and be spending money. No. So one of my basic knowledge is that never spend any money that you have not earned, because the dynamics of business is capital. The mechanics is the knowledge and the offices you have that are beautiful. Mechanics without dynamics is no good. When you have a knowledge, you have the beautiful office, and you have a capital and put on top of it, people can see action. Your knowledge can be measured and people can see what it is. But if you have those mechanics without dynamics, it's not going to profit you anything. So the money is the engine of business. How to manage it and how to deploy it is a key.
Entrepreneurs successful because of their own personal qualities or the context in which they sometimes find themselves?
Well, you know, entrepreneurs are people who really sit down, do their numbers, and they also do take risk, calculated risk, and you have to have a very big heart. You know, you can be an entrepreneur, but if you have a small heart, you will never ever grow big. So you have to take a big step. Once you take a big step and you are not really scared of doing things, and you are sure of what you are doing. I mean, like myself, I don't really do any business that I cannot explain to you when you wake me up from my sleep. I have to explain that process of the business A to Z before I get into anything.
You know, as complete greenhorns, when Sunflower Oil started, how easy was it to compete in an area that was dominated by the oil majors?
Well, it certainly wasn't easy. It was a learning curve for us. We learned at every point in time, at every stage. We wanted to learn. We knew that we were in dicey waters. And talking of waters, the allocation that we actually got was an oil block that was in very, very deep water, about 5,000 feet below the sea. And technology had not reached that water depth. So the challenges were right from the very first day. One, to try and find technical partners. It took 3 years after we got the license to get technical partners. And it took another 3 years to be able to be successful in finding oil in commercial quantity. Of course, we quickly hired our own technical staff. We brought them on board and we put them on the project, and we ensured that at least one of the children went to university and studied geology. I thank God that all my children, from the way it is now, or it seemed to have been orchestrated, but it just happened to be the way God wanted it. That the first one studied economics, the second one studied law, the third one was the one that studied geology, and the fourth one studied marketing. So it was all the tools that we needed for our new trade that our children studied.
What's new, what's next, and how do I get there first?
I like that question. What's new, what's next? I believe in that too, that difficult times present huge opportunities for those who have discerning eyes, or for those who can smell opportunities, and for those who can anticipate also scenarios and situations and be able to position well in advance. Where am I investing today? That's the kind of question. Where am I investing today? I think that sectors that appear difficult can be very good investment destinations. We are investing significantly in the power sector because it's a matter of time. Power is so key that